So Shambra, incredible time that you live in, and you're going to be experiencing, humans are going to be experiencing this incredible paradox. One day knowing everything, the next day nothing at all. One day having great love in your life, and the next day betrayed by the very ones that love you. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Oh, the human condition would love it for it to matter, and would love to scream and complain about it, and would love to blame someone else, and would love to be the victim, to play the game, but it doesn't matter. You're living in a time of incredible paradox where nothing is like it was before. We're talking about the weather. In a recent shout, the weather going back and forth. Incredible paradox. One moment a storm, the next moment paradise. One moment humanity suffering, the next moment rejoicing. Why all this paradox? Why all the confusion right now? Because, dear friends, this thing that you've known for as long as you've lived lifetimes on earth, this thing called duality, opposing forces, the consciousness of duality is coming to completion. Is coming to completion. So these forces that you see that apparently or perceptibly have been battling against each other are actually now coming together. They're coming together so you're no longer a man or a woman. But as they come together, there's this perception or this illusion that there's this great paradox between the masculine part of you and the feminine part. But actually they're coming to completion. That's what this whole transformation into new energy is truly about. In a way, it is the end of times. It is the end of duality. But duality is making itself more apparent than ever before. Contradictions are going to be more visible and sensible than ever before, meaning that you will sense it stronger than ever. And it's actually not a contradiction. And it's actually not opposing force anymore, because they're coming to completion. In what would appear to be chaos and contradiction and conflict, they're actually coming back together again. You see, it doesn't matter. It's happening naturally. And it actually happens in a very beautiful way. You're being shown just one side of a very, very beautiful process on earth right now. Everybody's focusing on the terrible and focusing on the systems falling apart. Walk around the other side where nobody stands. Walk around the other side of creation, of this illusion, and you're going to see the beauty of what's happening. Don't stand there with the masses staring at this dimensional picture of reality and saying, what the hell is happening to earth? Where do we go next? What do we do? Why am I here? Walk around to the other side. Walk around where nobody else stands. Shambra, all around the world, and look at what's really happening. It is beautiful. And at the same time, falling apart. It is the coming back together of the elements that have been long, long separated. And it is such a beautiful process. Be the one that sees the beauty in this. Be the one that then takes it within you, that absolutely feels what is really going on here. Set aside your human concerns about your job and your money and, the value of the stock market. It doesn't matter. There are what you would call riches or abundance for you, but it doesn't look anything like the old abundance. It doesn't act like the old abundance. Stop worrying about where that next check is going to come from. Now, you want to fight me on this. and you're writing your conclusive proof to me right now. I can hear you. I'm going to write an email to Tobias and say, Tobias, you don't know what the hell you're talking about because I have nothing. Nothing's coming in for me, and I'm at the end. Absolutely you are. Walk around the other side and look why you're at the end. Look at the beauty of letting everything go. Oh, forget about the little human pains and most of it's just fear. Most of it's an illusion. What have you really lost? Nothing. It doesn't matter. You're gaining everything, but you don't want to look at it. You're too busy looking at everything falling apart. You're too busy in the game. You're too busy pretending that you're a victim. You're too busy blaming me and your parents and your children and your spouses and your past lives and the world and the politicians and everybody else, including the little ones in spaceships and the ones from underground. You're too busy blaming all of them. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And we're going to arm wrestle about this for a while until you finally, one day laugh and say, oh, Tobias, I wish you'd told me way back when I was in the heat of my despair and the depths of my agony, I wish you would have said to me, Tobias, it doesn't matter. And then I would have let go of that little game I was playing. And then I would have stopped blaming everyone. And then I would have had a big smile and said, what a grand experience I'm having on earth right now. The illusion of things falling apart when they're really coming together. Isn't that a contradiction or a paradox in itself? The illusion that everything is falling apart. Imagine right now you're standing on a hill with millions of other humans, and there's this huge painting, and it's called the Painting of Earth in 2009. And that painting seems to be falling apart. The paint is melting, the frame around it is cracking and breaking, and it is the God, it is the modern day God, it's the illusion of life. And everybody's looking at it saying, it's falling apart. What we worship, the modern day God, the new age Horus and Isis and everybody else, the modern thing that we so worship, the illusion of life, it's falling apart. Crumbling before us, and there's nobody here to save us. And I know that. Humans say, I know there's nobody here to save us because I have called out to God and no God has come. I have screamed out to the angels and they just give me this BS. So I know there's nothing, and the painting, the illusion is falling apart. That's when I say, dear Shambra, it doesn't matter. Absolutely. And by the way, you asked for it to fall apart. You wanted the change. Now, go around the other side of the hill where nobody is and look at what's really happening. It's coming together. The illusion of it falling apart has to be there, because otherwise you're just intensifying the old elements of duality. You're just making the male more masculine and the female more feminine. You're just making light more light and dark more dark, and that is just adding to the game, and that's not at all what you chose. That's not at all what you asked for. It's not at all what you truly want to experience. Walk around the other side of that painting, of that illusion. First, you'll realize there's no painting there at all. Secondly, you'll realize it's all coming together, with or without you. It's all happening. It's all in a natural progression. It's only an illusion that it's falling apart. It actually can't. It can't. Now, there's something in your DNA called Atlantis that says, oh, but Tobias, it can. Oh, it can. I have seen it, I have felt it, and those flames were really hot. So don't tell me, Tobias, that it can't happen. Oh, Well, let's go back to Atlantis for a moment. Let's take a look at what was happening. It was an evolution and a transition as well. It was a time of truly discovering self and discovering the essence of Spirit of God. First, it had to be this illusion of God being off in the heavens, and eventually, a few humans would begin to understand that God was within. But in a sense, back in Atlantis, as somewhat naive as we all were, as children of Spirit as we all were, playing the grand game that we were playing, we said, let's take it and blow it up. Haven't you done that as children? Haven't you taken your little trucks and toys and demolished them? That was great fun. That was amazing. Boom, destroy it. What happened? Well, you got a bigger and better toy then. You got a grander game to play. Atlantis wasn't a mistake. It wasn't the wrath of God. Atlantis was not an error in humanity. And by the way, Atlantis wasn't this model of perfection society. It had many great things, but it wasn't the perfect society. We were learning. We were experiencing. We also experienced what it would like to have this great chaos and this great destruction. But it didn't matter. It wasn't shortly thereafter that you came back for another lifetime, either above earth or below earth. It didn't matter. You were still here. We, all of us, including me, we live in the best of times, and we live in the worst. We live in the most amazing times. The most amazing times ever. Understand that you're here just because you can be. Just because you want to be. Just because it is absolutely fun. Don't take it so serious. Don't take the burdens of the world on your shoulder. When you go into fear, feel the fear. Absolutely, feel the fear. Don't try to run from your own fear. It's already ahead of you. It's going to meet you on that path before you ever get there. Feel the fear, but then feel really into it, deep into it, because fear is a very interesting energy and consciousness. When you're looking at it from just the side of fear and darkness, it will freeze you. It will bring you to the depths of terror, of the illusion of hell, but walk right through it. Don't even bother walking around it. Walk right through it. Take a look at what's on the other side. Take a look at that pearl that's there awaiting you. Let's all take a deep breath together. You have everything before you, everything at your table, and you have nothing at all. You have everything that comes from yourself, coming from what you would call the future, but it's really coming from the best of you. I don't even want to call it future because I don't want you to relate it to time. It's coming from a part of your consciousness that you haven't experienced yet, that's already there. That's what's at your table. At your table, there is nothing at all. Because what the eyes see and the senses perceive, they want it to be something like the old, from the old. Just sharper knives, just better utensils, perhaps more delicious food, but it's not there. Because at this point in time of changing consciousness, you bring nothing old to the table. Nothing. Because what was old didn't work. We told the group of Shambra touring in Egypt, going to the sacred sites, that the Egyptians, these beautiful beings, They don't have the answers. They don't have some secret code buried deep in their hieroglyphs that explain what's going to happen next. They don't know. They're just waiting for you to come along so they can turn it over to you and so they can be free to go on their own way. They were waiting for you, but they don't know. When Shambhara was there, they said, great ones from the ancient past, what secrets do you have? What mysteries will you reveal? And the great ones from the past, the ones that were the gods and the pharaohs and the supposed divine ones, pondered for a moment. Said, we don't know. Not a clue. Have a good time. We're turning it over to you. We will be on our way. So dear Shambhara, another interesting thing about the times that you live in right now, we say that duality is coming together. It's in its state of completion. It's actually already completed, but now it's just going through the motions of getting there. You look at things so linear, you think you have to take one step in front of you all the time to get to your destination. Absolutely not at all. You're already at your destination, and now you're just taking steps backwards to experience it, and forwards to experience it again. You see, you're not trying to solve anything. It's already solved. Now can you please just experience it and stop struggling with it? Another interesting thing is happening right now. This duality is coming together. It's completing itself in the most amazing process. It's a process of fire and transmutation. A tremendous fire right now, and I use the word fire symbolically. There's tremendous transmutation, alchemy taking place right now. But an amazing thing in this alchemy is it's not just duality coming together. You're not just feeling the past and the future in this now moment. It's very multidimensional. You're feeling elements that aren't just in front of you or behind, but things that were at the sides and beneath and above. It can be very, very confusing. And I'm having to use human terminology here to help you understand. It's not just backward and forward at this point. It's coming in from everywhere. From a type of reality, or I should say an illusion that you can't even imagine because it wasn't even on your radar screen. It wasn't even on your type of energetic scope. Part of it is this thing called new energy. It's coming in from places you haven't explored before. We get into some very interesting spiritual physics here, but new energy is not singular. It is very multiple, multidimensional. So you say, yes, I want a piece of that new energy. Yes, I'll bring that into my dualistic reality, so I'll take a bite of that. When you're taking a bite of it from over here and bringing it into the now moment, it's actually coming in from back here and over there and from in here outward to the now. And it gets very, very confusing if you're still in your human mind. It gets very confusing if you have expectations about what it should look and feel like. So that comes to the point where you go into a type of overwhelm. Intuitively, you know that the old ways of perception don't work anymore. So you explode yourself, or you shatter yourself in a type of subconscious but somewhat conscious choice. You break yourself up. You shatter the illusion of self. So now you can enjoy the experience without the old overlays. You lose everything so that you can see everything. You allow the self to break down, to reveal its illusions and its fallacies and its old ways, so that you can perceive and experience multi-dimensionally. Oh, and it's frightening. It's terrifying. It is exhausting to one small part of yourself. But the part that seems to get all the attention, the part that seems to be the squeaky wheel, the part that seems to do the most screaming and complaining, the little human self, the victim self, the fearful little self who doesn't believe in itself, the self that's playing the game and is loving the game. So that self screams out and complains, what the hell is happening? Why aren't you here? Everything that you say, that you angels say to us is a bunch of crap. It is. It is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because you're going to find out for yourself. Now, we can give you a little bit of guidance and a little soothing along the way. We can come back often and tell you it doesn't matter. We can tell you from an overview what's happening. We can share with you that it's time to really let go of that illusion. You've made a choice somewhere. Somewhere deep within you, you've made a choice. Maybe it wasn't little human self, the little screamer, the little tyrant, as we like to call it at my cottage, little tyrant self. But there was a sacred part of self. I said, let's go of this illusion. Let's go of the singularity, the duality. Let's let go of the old. So we can absolutely experience something far grander. Just because. Just because. Not to save the world. Not to save our angelic families. They'll do fine on their own. But just because. There's nothing better than just because.